Foundation Day lecture of Mimamsa Foundation for Indic Studies. Mimamsa Foundation for Indic Studies is a research forum which studies India in a rooted Indic perspective. We do this through various interviews, special articles, special lecture series, and video interactions. We also conduct internship programs and study groups for students. Mimamsa Foundation for Indic Studies completes its third year of foundation, and we are delighted to have Professor Shrinivasa Varakhedi to deliver third Foundation Day lecture on the topic Integration of Indian Knowledge System in Academic Disciplines, a Way Forward. We welcome you, sir. It's a pleasure to have you for this third Foundation Day lecture.
Thank you. Dhanyavad, Suprabhatam, Namaskaraha.
Yes, thank you so much. Indian knowledge system has always remained a treasure house and foundation for Indic civilization and culture. The importance of Indic knowledge system has now been widely recognized at multiple levels, including government levels as well. There is a discussion around the utility, necessity, and also the relevance of Indic knowledge system in broader academic disciplines. And to delve more on this, we have with us Professor Shrinivasa Varakhedi, who is currently Vice Chancellor of Central Sanskrit University at New Delhi. He has been Vice Chancellor of Kavikulaguru Kalidasa Sanskrit Vidyapith at Nagpur and Acting Vice Chancellor of Karnataka Sanskrit University at Bengaluru. He was also conferred the prestigious Maharshi Badarayana Puraskar, conferred by President of India for his exemplary contribution in interdisciplinary studies involving Sanskrit, and many other rewards and many other prizes he has been awarded with. Along with the 20 years of academic and administrative experience, he has played a crucial role in setting up new Directorate of Sanskrit Education in Karnataka State and also the Department of Sanskrit Computational Linguistics and Design at Rashtriya Sanskrit Sansthan, Tirupati. His research areas and publications revolve around the schools of Indian and Western logic, knowledge representation schemes in Indian context, Sanskrit Vyakarana, computational linguistics, Indian philosophy and literature, and also Sanskrit pedagogy. We are privileged to have you, sir, and we are extremely happy to have you because you are actively involved into this integration process of IKS into the academic discipline. And we are equally eager to listen to your lecture and know more about what are the ways to integrate this and what is the way forward in this regard.
Namaskar. Thank you very much, Samhita, for inviting me for this lecture. I know the Mimamsa Foundation has taken up a lot of projects to revive the roots of Indian knowledge systems in the current day academia and also grow the interest among the youth about Indian knowledge systems and Indian art and culture. And I congratulate you and appreciate your efforts in this new era. At the outset, I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me. This is my area of interest, and I consider this is an honor to share some of my thoughts with all of you. As all of us know, when India started looking inwards, and a new journey has started. There's a U-turn now. For last 200 years, when the British education was seeded in India, and then we gradually uh, you know moved towards the west, and this was a program. And today, all of us, including you and me, are programmed. I mean, somebody's program is running our thoughts, and we are totally programmed, and our thinking, thought process, everything is in one way governed by certain Western principles and norms. So, in that sense, I think that this is the right time, this is the high time to re-educate India about our own tradition, our own roots of Indian thought process. So let us begin with certain ideas that I had accumulated in my journey of last 2 decades in this field. This is very interesting that because of adoption of new education policy, national education policy in 2020, we in India became vocal about our own traditions. Even otherwise, if a few scholars, a small team or some groups used to discuss about this. But today, the whole Indian academia is looking at the Indian knowledge roots. So today, it is not only a popular subject, but also a subject of interest of public. So in order to uh, make it accessible to everyone, I don't discuss too technical issues. Rather, I would like to discuss um, a few points which promotes the idea of which promote the idea of integrating Indian knowledge systems with the contemporary disciplines. See, unless and until we continue this tradition as an alternative idea or a separate, without bringing it to the mainstream education, it becomes uh, weak. Therefore, we should bring the entire Indian knowledge tradition to the contemporary mainstream education. How to integrate? Otherwise, this will be another compartmental study as it continued for last 75 years. It is part of either Sanskrit department or it is part of a philosophy department, and it is confined to a group. Indian knowledge is all about life. It is nothing to do with some old ideas. It is nothing to do with some darshanas. It is all about our life, human life. Therefore, I always considered as a student of Indian knowledge traditions, Indian knowledge should not be confined to certain groups and certain areas. Instead, we should bring them to the essence should be brought to the mainstream education so that everyone can enjoy and see the benefits of Indian knowledge traditions. So I would like to share some of my thoughts. Let me begin with what is Indian tradition. So I'm sharing my presentation. I skip some of the ideas. First of all, we should know what is Indian knowledge system, and we should also know about the entire Anubandha Chatushtaya. That means who is Adhikari here, Vishaya, Prayojana, Sambandha, which is normally explored in our tradition. The person interested in exploring Indic schools of thought, everyone who is interested here. And ultimately, we are missing so many categories and thought models in our modern day thinking. You know, we call ourselves Indians, but we think like any global citizen or Western person. Our thought process is corrupted. So where we have to correct them? See how we develop our thinking. It is simply we perceive the things through certain lenses. Today, we are perceiving the world with Western lenses. We have to replace it. There is something which is innate to us. There is something which is innate to all Indians. As we said, as our ancients, rishis said, Ayam nijah paro veti ganana lahu chetasam udara charitananto sadhaiva kutumbakam. This was the first lesson taught to us. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu ma kaschid dukha bhag bhavet. This is the lesson that was it is sown inside our thoughts. So this is how whatever I see it is the Brahman, and I belong to this. So, but these categories are missing. Sarve bhavantu sukhinaha thoughts are missing. Vasudhaiva kutumbakam is missing. This will bring these categories back to our basic ideas. So we need to work out. So therefore, we need to understand what is this Indian knowledge system. If you see the whole lot of Indian knowledge, which is captured in terms of Ashtadasha Vidyasthana, Bharatiya Vidyasthana, we can see Chatvaraha Vedaha, Shadangani, Shadupangani, Chatvari Upangani, Chatvaraha Upavedaha, Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharveda, Iti Vedaha, Shadangani, Shiksha, Vyakaranam, Chantaha, Niruptam, Jyotisham, Kalpaha, Upangani, Mimamsa, Nyayaha, Dharmashastram, Puranam, Evam Nyayepi, Nyaya Vaisheshika Sankhya Yoga Rupena, Puraneshu Ashtadasha Puranani, Ashtadasha Puranani, Itihasaha, Ramayanam, Mahabharatam, Upavedaha, Ayurvedaha, Dhanurveda, Gandharva Veda, Arthashastra. Just I'm enumerating, I'm enlisting, I'm just naming them. But this is not limited to only these names. This is vast 64 kalas, and this is vast knowledge and art system that still exist in India in the form of books, in the form of knowledge, in the form of practicing knowledge, in the form of language, culture, practices, life, tradition, heritage. We live it. So in one or the other way, Indians live this system. Indians, Bharatiyas, to make Indians as Bharatiyas, we should bring these back to life. So, in order to understand what is this Indian knowledge, traditions, and practices, I want to define them. Someone asked me, what is Indian here? I mean, what is this? Do you consider this India as a region, Bharata as a regional area, geographic area where you call the Indian knowledge systems exist? No. I want to define the Indian knowledge, Bharatiya Vidya, with three terms: Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram. I think this is very interesting part that interesting statement that I'm making here. Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram. What is Satya and what is Shiva and what is Sundara? That is India's knowledge, culture, and art. That is life of India. That's how I want to define. I want to characterize Indian knowledge. What is Satyam? Satyam is interpreted in many ways. In one term, if you want to, the translation is highly impossible. But still, if you want me to explain in one term, we can say exact. We can say true to the factual information, true to the fact, corresponding to the reality. To me, this is just some aspects of Satya. Satya is, according to me, that literature, that Vangmaya, which wants to reach the reality. The goal of literature is reality. That literature can be called as Satya literature. So Bharatiya literature, starting from Vedas to Upanishads and Puranas to Itihasas and very recent Kavya, everything aims at reality, to understand the reality, to accomplish the reality, to achieve the reality, to understand the reality. Reality that is innate, reality that is inside. So, this is where Indian knowledge systems should be understood. Satyam. And the second term that explains the Indian knowledge tradition is Shivam. It is auspicious. It stands for good, common well-being. Sarve bhavantu sukhina, sarvahitam is the ultimate goal. That is Shivam. The third, because we can see only Shivam part. Shivam part is missing today. So the third very interesting idea is Satya and Shiva becomes Sundara. Many times Sundara is attractive. It is not only attractive, it is beautiful. It is wonderful. And more than that, it is heart-touching. It is soul-touching. Sundara is that which touches our soul, which becomes one with our soul. That is Sundara. Therefore, if you consider these three terms and apply on any literature, that you can see that is Indian literature, Bharatiya Vangmaya. So, in order to understand Bharatiya Vangmaya, you need to, if you want to understand Bharatiya Vangmaya, you can see these three terms and understand them and expand them. Then you can see Indian literature there. So, with this basic construction, I would like to add three more important features of India Bharatiya Jnana Parampara. and which is, I think, people missing, which is not properly understood by uh, common people. One is, it is not rigid. Indian knowledge tradition was misunderstood as rigid, but no. Indian knowledge system or Indian tradition or Indian culture or arts is art. All of them are adaptable, parishkar yogya. Tradition is always open for modification and alteration and adaptable at all times. This is adaptability is the beautiful characteristics of Indian knowledge tradition. And it accommodates all different ideas. Say there is a matabheda. There are so many different stands. Accommodative, because all different stands are accommodated in one place. This is the beauty of Indian knowledge tradition. We have so many schools, and everything is acceptable, accommodative. The third one is prayoga, and the theories are meant for application in life. Theories are not meant for application in labs. They find application in life. They are verified through practices. So all our goal was to make life wonderful, a good experience. For that, all the Shastric principles are applied in life and they brought to the practices. So Parishkar and Samanvaya and Prayoga, these are very important aspects of Indian knowledge tradition. So I would like to, as one, when you invite the Indian knowledge tradition in one side, the other side, there is culture and there are arts. So in this way, when you consider all these different aspects of one idea, one entity, that is called Bharatiya Prajna, Indic wisdom. So we have to exhibit Indian Prajna, Bharatiya Prajna, we have Shastric discourses, dialogues, samvadas. Starting from Upanishads, we can see them. Other side, we have Shraddha path. That means spiritual paths where you find a lot of Shraddha. And other part is intellectual foundation. Lot of logics, lot of debates that takes place, and intellectual tradition we find in all Shastric disciplines. So I call them Shraddha. Spiritual paths are dependent on Shraddha. Shastric discourses are dependent on Prajna, and intellectual foundation that we call Medha. These three are the basis for Indian tradition. The another important aspect we need to understand is Purushartha Pramana and Tattvajnana. So in Madhusudana Saraswati, in his Prasthana Bheda, the work authored by him, which explains the Ashtadasha Vidyasthanas, he says, Pumarthopayoginam Prasthananam Bhedaha Atra Varnate. That means Purushartha is very, very important concept which makes any knowledge system Indian, Bharatiya. We consider anything that we want to understand and adopt in life, that should be connected to Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha. Otherwise, it is useless. So all the prayojanas, all purposes of life are divided into four categories. Dharma, which holds the life; artha, resource for the life; kama, the fulfilling desires of life; and moksha, which is liberation. Liberation not from this body, but liberation from everything. Every day we feel this liberation. And second is source of Indian knowledge is pramanas. We understand pramanas. There are three: pratyaksha, anumana, shabda, and there are four, sometimes five, and sometimes six. People have tried many models. We understand pramana, prameya, pramata, prama as the whole. The whole word is divided into four categories. One is prama, the ultimate knowledge; pramata, the person who possesses the knowledge; who is sakshi, who understands, who explains, who thinks, who ultimately that the soul; and pramaya, the object; and pramana, the means, that means of the knowledge. So ultimate goal is tattva. The way is shravana, manana, nididhyasana. So in this way, we can connect whole life and the the knowledge system can be understood with these some terms. So I don't go into the details, but sometimes basic because how we from our Indian tradition, how far we are now going away. You can see one example. When we try to understand the history of something, we always place the events in a linear form. Therefore, in India, everything we want to understand in linear form. The history tries that. Basically, history is formed on the basis of a line, events put on a line. But for Indians, for Bharatiyas, time is in the form of cycle. It's a cyclic. I don't find any line there. Therefore, I don't have history. I have itihasa. My basic understanding about of the time is cyclic understanding. Therefore, I never consider that it is a line. There's no end. There's no beginning for that. So for me, itihasa is possible. History is impossible. Therefore, Indians, we don't have history. We have itihasas. This basic understanding we don't have. Therefore, we always try to place time for everything. Vedas have time, and Purana Kala, Itihasa Kala. I don't understand all these things because, in my view, Kala is a chakra. How can I understand history? We don't have history. Yes, we are not sensitive for history because we never understood time as a line. It's not in linear form. Therefore, we don't have history. Why I am telling this is because we are taught in our class, in our schools, that history is very important. History, Indians do not have any consideration for history. Therefore, people say that Indians cannot understand history, they don't have history. But one should understand that we have itihasa, which is based on chakra, kala chakra. There are so many things that we can share on Indian knowledge, but I wanted to tell you that Indian knowledge is not uh, like any Western uh, uh, collection of ideas. So we should understand Indian knowledge systems from different perspective, and we should understand. We should re uh, we should rethink about Indian knowledge systems from different perspective. So I want to share another important aspect. So I said there is something Ashtadasha Vidyasthana. So Ashtadasha Vidyasthanas, yes, I come here. So there are 18 kinds of 18 sources. They are categorized in 18 collections. But Jnana is Akhanda. Jnana is one. Jnana cannot be divided. This is another important aspect of Indian knowledge traditions. See, human creations are like this. They are created through lines. They are created through just straight lines. These are human constructions. The construction of nature is different. Construction of nature is always Vaktra. So, if you consider the whole Western creation, this looks like this. It is like with lines, straight lines, because it aims at some purpose, some comforts. But Indian tradition always went with the nature. It always looks like Vakra. I mean, there are so many, complex structures. Therefore, people thought that Indian knowledge, Indian tradition is very tough to understand. No, it is very close to the nature. Therefore, it is very easy to understand. It is not artificial. It is natural. Therefore, we must understand the natural ways of thinking. That is where Indian knowledge tradition should be understood. And as I said, knowledge is akhanda. Then why there are so many different prasthanas? I mean, different knowledge disciplines. So, Madhusudana Saraswati says, Prayojana bhedena prasthana bheda. That means knowledge is one, but your purpose makes the different disciplines. So different disciplines come out of prayojana bheda, not prasthana bheda. So when we consider our prasthanas, all aim at one particular goal. That goal is purushartha. We cannot go with, we always Indian knowledge tradition is to be understood with this framework. I mean, we cannot cross this framework. As we keep our painting in a frame, Indian knowledge and Indian culture should be kept under a frame. That frame is Purushartha frame. If we do not keep Indian knowledge in the framework of Purushartha, then we don't understand them, or we can't enjoy the beauty of that Indian knowledge. So, one example I would like to give how it differs from the Western viewpoint. One example we can see. In Chanakya Sutra, we can see the beginning of Chanakya Sutras starting with Sukhasya Moolam Dharmaha, Dharmasya Moolam Arthaha, Arthasya Moolam Rajyam, which is very simple. Sukhasya moolam dharma means dharma is the base for sukha. Dharma causes sukha, or without dharma we cannot accomplish sukha. This seems to be ridiculous today because we are taught that sukhasya moolam artha. If someone wants to enjoy sukha, get the sukha, he should earn artha. But this is rejected by Chanakya. He says sukhasya moolam dharma and dharmasya moolam artha. There is something which is missing in between. Sukhasya moolam dharma. So dharmasya moolam artha. Arthasya moolam rajyam. Rajyasya moolam indriya vijaya. In order to construct a state, people thought that only the public opinion is possible. Public opinion, through public opinion, state is possible. No. Sukhasya rajyasya moolam indriya vijaya. Indriya vijayasya moolam vinaya. Vinayasya moolam vruddhopaseva. So if you consider these lines as base of our Indian life perception about life, then we are missing so many categories like dharma, like indriya vijaya, like vinaya. These categories are missing. So therefore, it is totally different from Western perspective. This is not a upadesha of an Upanishad or Purana or any religion. This is the lines of Chanakya. It is Arthashastra. Therefore, when we understand Indian knowledge, that knowledge is connected to basic understanding of life. So I want to classify Indian knowledge disciplines in this way. For example, Indian classification of Indian disciplines is done in terms of pramata, prameya, and pramana. Earlier I introduced that. Pramata means observer, knower, knowledge seeker, ultimately the self or subject or personality. All disciplines that are connected with this observer, jnata or pramata, are human sciences, because human being is ultimate the center point of all these sciences. The human sciences, consciousness studies, education, psychology, social science, leadership, administration, management, wellness, peace, all these subject sciences come into one category. So I'm again recategorizing the whole Ashtadasha Vidyasthanas into three boxes, into three. The second category could be Gneya. Gneya means object sciences, where object is kept center. That is hard sciences of nature, resources, physics, life sciences, engineering, technology, architecture, ecology, everything can be put in object sciences, Gneya category. The third one is Pramana category, Jnana category. Observing, the process of observing, understanding, that is knowledge sciences like linguistics, mathematics, logic, knowledge mining, automation science, epistemology, all that matters to codify and process the knowledge, they belong to this category. So you can see these Indian knowledge systems can be categorized into three object sciences, subject sciences, and knowledge sciences, so that we can now connect into modern world. Similarly, before going to this, I quote Chanakya's Arthashastra, where he starts enumerating, categorizing the knowledge systems, Vidyasthana, into four: Trayi, Varta, Dandaniti, and Anviki. So now I want to connect this to the modern world. See, there are four schools, even in practice, even today. What is Trayi? Trayi means the core sciences. Today we consider them physics, chemistry, and biological sciences. In one sense, these are basic understanding of the entire nature. So natural sciences can be called as three. Varta means the loka vyavahara. That means the economics, commerce, and business, and management and administration. These are vartas. And Dandaniti means the state sciences. That means political science. And the sciences that belonging to construction of any state. Then last one is, which is very important, Anvikshiki. So Anvikshiki is important to everything. That is basic foundation of all Vidyasthanas. That is like mathematics, logic, linguistics, language understanding. All these are Anvikshikis. Therefore, when we see this categorization of Vidyasthana done by Chanakya, we can understand this is quite it is very much contemporary. Now we can connect the entire Indian knowledge system with the today's disciplines, because we have Varta, we have Anvikshiki, we have Trayi today, we have also Dandaniti today. So after understanding these structures, if we try to understand the original ideas from the original works of these Vidyasthanas, then we can connect the best ideas to the contemporary system. So again, coming back to this part, so you can see this slide. Here, the contemporary impact with the Indian knowledge traditions. What are the areas that we can connect? What are the contemporary disciplines that can be influenced with the various Vidyasthanas of Indian knowledge traditions? You can see wellness is very prominent area of the day, because without wellness, people cannot live long, live happily. Today, Indian Shastras like Ayurveda and Yoga have shown their potential in this context, in the context of wellness. Similarly, we have Tantra, Mantra, Yajna, Agama, Vastu. All these are connected to psychology, cognitive science, art, design, architecture, communication, and creativity, whatnot. On the other hand, we have humanities. We have humanities, social sciences, law, ethics, political science, governance. All these are connected to, in one sense, liberal arts. Then we have Dharma Shastra, Artha Shastra, Jyotisha, Natya, linguistics, and many other disciplines which can be connected to these areas. On the other side, we have computing, robotics, automation, knowledge mining. On the Indian side, we have Vyakarana, Nyaya, Mimamsa, Vaisheshika, all these knowledge mining areas. So if we go to deeper level, because this is very superficial level that I'm talking, but if you go to deeper level, we have Prana Vidya, we have Saundarya Shastra. So Prana Vidya that can be connected to science of conscious energy, and this is never attempted in modern disciplines. And if you go to science of delight, bliss in the human, Ananda Vidya, we never attempted this. And other hand, we have objective and objective and method sciences, science of knowledge, which encodes and decodes the ideas in a beautiful way, sutra form, that we never attempted. Ultimately, when we see, there are inner uh, powers, prana and manas and buddhi. These areas are very soft areas. Someone asked me, in India, you don't have very proper understanding of physics, chemistry, and biology, which we are totally dependent on modern sciences. Yes, I said yes, which is true. In India, our ancient rishis try to understand inner soft objects like vak, manas, and buddhi, prana, which are very subtle and very soft in nature. And complexity increases when Indians have understood them. We have prana vidya, we have manovidya, because people through yoga and other disciplines, we try to understand chitta and buddhi. So in India, even vak, Patanjali explains, Bhartrhari explains the vak. So in India, we have the sciences of soft objects, subtle objects, complex objects. We don't have sthula vidyas. Sthula vidya means the objects which are evident, which are in the outside world, which you can touch, weigh, and cut and see them. We don't have such, because if you understand the soft structures, and then Sthula Vidya is very feasible, very easy. Even to understand our body, we never dissected the body. We understood them in terms of Vata, Pitta, Kapha. We understood in terms of Asthi, Majja, Medas. So Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, very soft. So with these, we could treat them. We could regenerate the body. We could understand the body. So this is how Indians' perception is totally different from the Western perspective. We need not, to understand a body, we did not dissect it. To understand the body, we have our own terms of Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, Vata, Pitta, Kapha. So Indians have developed different science altogether, which gives us perception. That is Bharatiya Jivana Drishti. Because we have lost these categories, we have lost Bharatiya Drishti in our life. In order to bring back the Indian view in education, we should bring back these knowledge traditions and into the practice. Practices are to be incorporated in modern education, contemporary disciplines. With the contemporary disciplines, West has given us a lot. It has taught us how to uh, how to enumerate, but we have given the numbers. That's where Indian knowledge systems can help the entire human endeavors to understand the best of life. With these words, I thank you very much for listening to me, and you allowed me to share some of my thoughts. Thank you very much. Dhanyavada.
Thank you, sir, for this wonderful lecture. I mean, the topic has always been interesting for so many years, and we were aware about different ideas, but to put it in a one frame was very much necessary, and it's a need for time as well. And I must say that, as you said, that Indian knowledge system is a part of your life and it focuses on your life. So if the integration is taking place, so we are not going to learn some topic which is absolutely alien to the topics that have been learned so far or to our life. It is a part of our life. It is our daily, it includes in our daily practices, in our daily speech, in our parlance and everything around us. So that's an important feature of Indian knowledge system, which gives very much Indian drishti, jivan drishti, as we say. So we have few questions with us which are related to this topic. I would like to ask one by one. So the first question which was asked was, what kind of resources do we have and where do we need to work to take this IKS into academics? So what are the areas where the efforts needs to be put on more and more, and what are the ways or the way forward in order to have proper integration of IKS into all levels, especially in the academics.
Yes,
Particularly.
yes. Yes, what I personally feel is when in recent days, when whole nation thought that we should make efforts in the space, our ISRO kind of institution is developed by our nation, and the focus was space, spacecraft. And along with that, all sciences have grown. The whole nation's aim was to occupy the space in with our own sciences, our own creations. So we have developed so many things, and whole Academy of Science work towards fulfilling the objects of the ISRO. Similarly, today the whole world has problem with the only three things. One is area of entertainment, which is a very big industry, entertainment industry, and wellness. These two are very important to develop the growth, because all our knowledge should uh, result into development of economy. That's where people, it should not be moksha vidya, it should be artha vidya. So Indian knowledge systems can be connected to economic, Indian economy. How? We can focus these two areas, wellness and entertainment. Initially, if we focus in those two areas, we have so many things. We have so many Puranas, so many Sahitya Shastras, tremendous literature has been created in India, which can entertain in many ways. We have sciences also. We have sciences, Sangeeta Shastra, Sahitya Shastra, we have Natya Shastra. We can bring wonderful ideas to modern theaters, modern entertainment industry. The second one is wellness. Wellness has occupied the great value in our life. So for wellness, we have yoga and Ayurveda, which is very crucial now. We have not explored so many things. This is the day. I think next 10 years we can work only in these two areas. So in order to strengthen them, we can look at the Pramana Shastra. Only three areas we can work in coming years.
That's true. Developing the epistemology altogether. How we have the epistemological structures, and to put it into these particular two areas, as you have mentioned, are crucial according to you in order to propagate the IKS into broader level. Yeah, there is one more question regarding the skill sets which are required for a student of a Shastra who can contribute to this integration process. What kind of skill sets do a person need when it comes to contributing in this entire process?
See, language skill becomes very important. What is language skill? In India, all meanings are connected to the roots. These categories are connected to the root of Sanskrit. If Sanskrit is lost, knowledge is lost. Sanskrit is lost, categories are lost. Categories are lost, ideas are lost. So therefore, one example I can see, for example, dana is an idea. It is not donation. It is not gift. So dana, uh, it it can be connected only with dana. So danam is not donation or gift. So you cannot translate them. And even, for example, darshana. When you go to Kashi, you will have darshan of Vishwanath, but you cannot translate it. It is not seeing, it is not perceiving, it is not looking at Vishwanatha, it is not perceiving Vishwanatha, it is not seeing Vishwanatha, it is darshana of Vishwanatha. Darshana has so many things. That means it is shraddha, bhava, feeling, thamarpana, which cannot be incorporated in seeing and perceiving. So therefore, Indian categories can be connected to only Sanskrit, without which you cannot, just by translation of Bhagavad Gita, just by translation of Shastras, you cannot understand, you cannot touch that. Therefore, I would urge everyone to uh, learn Sanskrit, at least in the level of, in appreciation level. I mean, you should appreciate, you should feel it. That much Sanskrit knowledge is required. Everyone should be skillful to acquire the Sanskrit language skill in that level.
Okay. So the language skill as you said. Actually, this question was asked by Chinmay Munje from Kavikulla Guru Kalidas Sanskrit Vidyapit, and he was specifically asking about the students of Shastras who are already learning the Shastras, how they can contribute in this process.
So second level is our yuktis, skill in argumentation, and getting the good acquaintance of Pramana Shastra, epistemology is very important. These two areas, and argumentation. These two areas are very important areas where the student of Indian knowledge systems will have power in understanding our Shastras.
And putting it in, representing it in the contemporary context is also equally important. To have that kind of integration. There was another question regarding the challenges or the challenges in areas where this integration is becoming a difficult task, and what more needs to be done in order to make this integration happen efficiently. This is a student from this is a question from a student named Kailasha from Jaipur.
What exactly he wants to know?
The areas and challenges where this integration is going to be difficult task, a bit difficult task.
Yes, the challenging areas are, see, natat shastram, natat shilpam, nasa vidya, nasa kala. Everything is here. But it is not in the same form which is available today in the in our school or college curriculum, because we have uh, traveled far from our original thoughts. For example, many a times we cannot understand our own practices, our own thinking processes in modern terms. Therefore, one challenging job is to bring everything in the contemporary system. You cannot, for example, you can bring the water into a bottle or another form, but you cannot bring certain objects in the different sort of structures. Totally, structures are different. In India, we have always looked at forms, but forms are secondary for us. West always looked at the forms. If you consider that, for example, content and syntax, thus content is ignored and syntax is given utmost important in the West. Therefore, formal structures become very important in the West. That has affected, influenced current today's all formal sciences and thoughts. But the ancient Indian sciences have given the importance to the content. Therefore, they are content-driven sciences. You cannot bring the content-driven sciences into the formal sciences, in the form of formal sciences. This is very challenging and difficult. Therefore, we need to develop certain kind of fusions. The fusioning ideas are not yet developed. People try with Western music and Indian Shastriya Sangeeta, or Western, instruments and Indian music. People try that. Indian music on Western instruments. So this is a kind of fusion. This fusion is possible but challenging. It is not so easy, but it is possible. So we should try for that.
So the areas of fusions are always open, where you can have a confluence of both the cultures. At the same time, I personally feel it's also important to empower the structures that are into the Indic knowledge system and to put it in the modern context as
But
well.
I don't use the term confluence because mixed sync I don't understand. But I carefully use the term Western instrument and Indian music. So Western structures, Indian content.
Okay, yeah, okay, got it. Thank you. And one more question, the last question we have, that is by Ankit Rawal, who is from Ferguson College. He asks that, can you please explain the relevance of IKS in terms of avenues of placement after education, in particular IKS?
See, today's world is an open world. See, there are so many avenues. An engineer trained in mechanics can go to software engineering, and a textile engineer can be marketing, can go to marketing. Why not? An IKS engineer cannot go to any other field, and it is simple as it is. Therefore, I don't think that we should launch new avenues, or the currently available avenues will be open for Indian knowledge systems also, but with the modern skills.
Yeah. So as Bhartrhari says, Prajna Vivekam Labhate Dhirmai Ragana Darshanaihi Kiyadva Shakyam Unnetum Swatarkam Anubhavata, and that's the basis of having different agamas, knowledge of different agamas from Indian knowledge systems, and trying to put it into the modern context and trying to present it in that way is going to be the way forward. And we would also we will be engaging on this topic more and more and trying to understand various methods in which this integration is going to take place. Thank you, sir, for giving your valuable time for this lecture and engaging with us so generously. We are very much delighted to have you. And on this, I would like to thank our mentors as well, who have been constant guiding support in all the endeavors of Mimamsa, and our contributors in terms of articles and in any other format who have helped Mimamsa grow. All our guests and speakers who have been generous to engage with us on various video podcasts that we have conducted so far. Our viewers, our readers who have been always encouraging to take up more and more initiatives, and who have supported us generously. Thank you one and all, and see you soon. And also, one more thing, do subscribe, do like, and do follow our page and all our social media handles. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Samhita. Thank you, Mimamsa Foundation, for creating this opportunity for me and for all others. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much.